You were told to speak up, raise your hand more, network harder, be in the room where it happens. And if you didn't, you were quietly labeled shy, distant, difficult. But here's what nobody told you. Psychology has been studying introverts for decades. And the findings? They don't match what the world told you at all. So, if you're an introvert, stay with me for the next few minutes. Because what you're about to hear might completely change how you see yourself. This isn't a motivational speech. I'm not here to make you feel good for 5 minutes and then forget everything. Today, we're going to look at real psychological patterns. What happens inside an introvert's mind. Why those traits are quietly powerful. And why, right now in today's world, being an introvert might actually be an advantage. Let's get into it. Here's the problem. The world measures confidence by volume. The louder you are, the more capable you seem. The more you fill a room, the more leadership potential people assign to you. But that's a measurement error. Psychology calls it the extrovert ideal, a cultural bias where outward expressiveness gets mistaken for inner strength. And introverts have been paying the price for it. Not because they lack capability, but because their capability doesn't make noise. Think about it this way. A river that runs deep doesn't roar. The shallow ones do. This isn't a metaphor. This is biology. Research in neuroscience shows that introverts have higher baseline activity in the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for planning, reflection, and decision-making. In simple terms, your brain is running more background processes than most people realize. While someone else is reacting, you're calculating. While someone else is speaking, you're already 3 steps ahead. That's not slowness. That's precision. And in a world full of impulsive decisions and half-formed opinions, precision is rare. Precision wins. Here's something most people don't consider. Listening is a skill. A real, trainable, powerful skill. And most people are terrible at it. Studies in communication psychology show that the average person listens at only 25% efficiency. They're waiting for their turn to talk. They're forming their response before you've finished your sentence. Introverts don't do that. They actually absorb what's being said. They catch the hesitation in someone's voice. They notice when the words don't match the energy. That's not just emotional intelligence. That's social radar. And in professional environments, in relationships, in negotiations, the person who truly listens holds enormous power. Let's clear this up right now. Needing time alone is not the same as being lonely. Preferring quiet is not the same as being antisocial. Psychology distinguishes clearly between solitude, chosen, restorative aloneness, and loneliness, which is a feeling of disconnection. Introverts seek solitude. And solitude, research confirms, is where the highest quality thinking happens. Einstein worked alone for long stretches. Darwin took daily solo walks to think. J.K. Rowling built an entire universe in quiet coffee shops and small rooms. Solitude isn't where introverts hide. It's where they build. Right now, distraction is the default. Notifications, meetings, open offices, constant input. The modern world is designed to fragment attention. And most people have adapted. They've become comfortable skimming the surface. Quick takes, fast answers, shallow engagement. But here's the great news for you. Introverts naturally resist that pull. You don't thrive in chaos, so you create conditions to avoid it. You block out the noise, so your thinking goes deeper. Psychologist Cal Newport calls this deep work, the ability to focus without distraction on cognitively demanding tasks. He argues it's becoming the most valuable skill in the modern economy. And it's the skill introverts have been quietly practicing their whole lives. Here's where I'll be straight with you. Introversion has a genuine challenge. Not the ones people make up, like you're too quiet or too serious. The real one. Visibility. In most systems, workplaces, social circles, online platforms, the people who show up consistently, who put their voice out there, get recognized faster. An introvert can do extraordinary work in silence and still be overlooked, simply because they didn't broadcast it. That's not fair. But it's real. So the question isn't how do you become an extrovert? The question is, How do you let your work be seen without betraying who you are? The answer is intentional communication. You don't need to talk more. You need to talk strategically. One well-placed insight in a meeting carries more weight than 10 minutes of filler. One clear, confident email does more than an hour of small talk. Quality of presence beats quantity of noise. Every time. Let's bring this back to where we started. Psychology doesn't say introverts are better than extroverts. It says something more interesting. Introverts and extroverts are differently wired, and both wiring systems have genuine strengths. But here's what the research confirms specifically about you. Introverts show greater persistence on complex tasks. They demonstrate higher accuracy in detail-oriented work. They build fewer, but significantly more trusting relationships. They make more considered decisions under pressure. And they report higher levels of self-awareness than average. That's not a consolation prize. That's a psychological profile of someone built for depth. In a world chasing speed, depth is the competitive advantage. Here's the final thing I want you to sit with. Most introverts spend years trying to fix themselves, rehearsing small talk, forcing networking, performing energy they don't have. And it's exhausting. Not because socializing is wrong, but because performing a personality you're not is unsustainable. The shift happens when you stop fixing and start understanding. Your introversion isn't a setting you need to change. It's a lens through which you see the world differently, deeper, slower, more clearly. And when you work with that lens instead of against it, everything changes. Your output changes. Your confidence changes. Your relationship with yourself changes. So yes, if you're an introvert, great news is the right phrase. Not because everything is easy. Not because the world will suddenly understand you. But because you now understand yourself. And self-understanding is where every real advantage begins. If this gave you a new way to see yourself, hit like. It genuinely helps this channel reach people who need to hear this. Subscribe if you want more psychology content that actually respects your intelligence. And the next video you should watch? It's about why introverts often succeed later in life, and why that delayed recognition is actually by design. I'll see you there.